Welcome to Bears Royal Guys. Please support me by subscribing and getting me to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Rival front offices aren't just watching Chicago, they're panicking because Austin Booker's $1.1 million contract didn't just land a steal, it unlocked the ultimate competitive cheat code. While the rest of the league drowns in $20 million veteran edge rusher deals, Booker's elite rookie surplus value creates a massive financial shield for the franchise. Every unspent dollar on defense is directly reallocated to build an impenetrable wall of protection around Caleb Williams. If this cap loop continues, the Bears won't just comfortably afford Caleb's future mega extension, they will quietly construct a multi-year Super Bowl roster while their division rivals go broke trying to stop them. The underlying math behind this dynamic is completely rewriting the modern NFL blueprint, sending shockwaves through executive suites across the country. In the high-stakes game of professional football finance, most cap casuals focus exclusively on their big-ticket signees and marquee quarterback deals. They see a fifth-round draft pick as nothing more than cheap depth or special teams cannon fodder, ignoring the exponential leverage hidden within the fine print. But smart front offices know the harsh truth. Top-tier veteran edge rushers command astronomical salaries upward of $20 to $25 million annually, consuming massive slices of a team's total pie. When a late-round selection like Austin Booker defies the odds and generates top-tier pass rush win rates while playing on a standard rookie contract with an average annual value hovering at just $1.1 million, the math completely breaks in favor of the franchise. It creates an enormous financial anomaly, a massive pool of phantom cap space that doesn't show up on standard fan-facing tracking websites, yet allows a general manager to maneuver with unprecedented freedom. This surplus value becomes the central engine for Chicago's entire roster architecture, creating a multi-year domino effect that directly impacts the foundational trajectory of quarterback Caleb Williams. To understand the magnitude of this breakthrough, one must first confront the terrifying reality of modern quarterback economics. The moment a franchise drafts a generational talent like Caleb Williams, an unforgiving clock begins to tick loudly in the background. In 3 to 4 short years, that young signal caller will be legally eligible for a record-shattering contract extension that will inevitably swallow $45 to $60 million per season. Teams that fail to prepare for this financial tsunami far in advance routinely find themselves gutted, forced to strip their rosters of elite talent just to keep their star quarterback under contract. The moment the quarterback gets paid, the surrounding infrastructure usually crumbles. This creates an agonizing high-stakes dilemma for any organization attempting to build a sustainable contender. If Chicago follows the traditional panic-driven route of overpaying aging, high-priced veteran edge rushers in a desperate bid to win immediately, they effectively trap themselves in a claustrophobic cap hell. Every bloated, guaranteed contract handed out to a 30-year-old defensive end is a direct theft from the future resource pool required to keep Caleb Williams upright, healthy, and surrounding him with elite playmakers. When you pay $30 million to a veteran pass rusher, you are actively sacrificing your ability to pay top-tier offensive tackles, elite interior linemen, or explosive perimeter weapons 3 years down the road. It is a catastrophic zero-sum game where a short-sighted obsession with immediate defensive fixes guarantees long-term offensive decay and structural failure. This is precisely why the emergence of Austin Booker is causing such widespread anxiety among league executives who thought Chicago would eventually be forced into the same financial trap. By locking up high-efficiency, game-disrupting pass rush reps at a tiny fraction of market value, Chicago systematically bypasses the need to enter bidding wars on the open market. They aren't just saving money on paper, they are actively hoarding structural flexibility for the exact moment Caleb Williams transitions from his affordable rookie contract to his mega extension. Instead of scrambling to clear room or letting crucial offensive linemen walk in free agency, the Bears are quietly accumulating a massive war chest that allows them to absorb a record-breaking quarterback contract without sacrificing a single piece of their core offensive line. The rest of the league thought Chicago's clock was ticking down, but Booker's $1.1 million anomaly just bought them an impenetrable window of time. To master the art of squad building under the modern collective bargaining agreement, front offices must treat the draft not just as a talent acquisition tool, but as a relentless, high-yield financial arbitrage mechanism. The rookie wage scale, codified to regulate initial player compensation, created an unintentional goldmine for aggressive general managers who understand statistical ROI. While top 10 draft picks command massive guaranteed salaries that eat up substantial baseline room, fifth-round selections are locked into dirt-cheap 4-year contracts, total hovering just over $4 million. This specific structural dynamic makes late-round steals the absolute holy grail of modern roster construction. When a late-round asset like Austin Booker generates high-caliber pass rush efficiency, the financial return on investment breaks traditional salary metrics. Booker isn't just delivering solid rotational snaps, he is producing Tier 1 edge disruptor metrics at a microscopic fraction of market rate cost. To grasp how profoundly this tilts the playing field in Chicago's favor, consider the brutal economics of the veteran edge rusher market. Proven pass rushers on the open market easily demand upward of $20 million annually, often requiring massive upfront guarantees that paralyze cap flexibility for half a decade. When a team pays a free agent defender $25 million a year, every single sack, pressure, and hurry carries a steep, punishing price tag per snap. Now pit that exorbitant cost structure against Austin Booker's lean $1.1 million average annual value. If Booker captures a core rotational role and produces 6 to 8 sacks alongside heavy pressure totals, his cost per pressure metric sits at a tiny fraction of what rival teams pay their high-priced stars. The delta between his actual salary and his open market production represents purely unallocated, pure surplus value. Roughly $19 million per season of ghost capital that Chicago gets to keep on its books. This massive difference in surplus value is precisely where the financial magic happens, completely transforming Chicago's long-term team trajectory. Visualize the Bears' 3-year salary cap outlook as a dynamic living ledger rather than a static spreadsheet. In a standard NFL ecosystem, paying top dollar for elite pass rushers forces front offices to bleed depth at critical offensive positions, leaving their young quarterback vulnerable to pass rush heat. But because Booker anchors one side of the defensive rotation on a microscopic wage, Chicago can seamlessly absorb heavy veteran contracts elsewhere without sacrificing future flexibility. That $19 million in annual savings doesn't simply vanish into the ether. It gets systematically reallocated into a multi-year war chest specifically engineered to protect and elevate Caleb Williams. Rival executives looking at Chicago's internal balance sheets aren't seeing a team struggling to manage its roster. They are staring at an impenetrable wall of financial reserves. The Bears are taking advantage of a system where a single mid-round breakout completely rewrites a team's financial timeline. While divisional foes are forced to restructure contracts, push dead money into void years, and cut productive veterans just to stay compliant under the salary cap, Chicago operates with unprecedented freedom. Every dominant snap Booker takes at his baseline salary compounds the franchise's leverage, turning what should have been a standard rotational draft pick into a massive cap-saving engine that guarantees long-term dominance. Armed with the millions of dollars generated by Austin Booker's baseline rookie deal, General Manager Ryan Poles can execute a masterclass in modern offensive line construction. The primary directive for Chicago's front office is absolute. Ensure Caleb Williams remains protected in an impenetrable pocket throughout his formative years. In traditional cap environments, teams are forced to make desperate compromises, compromising on interior pass protection or rolling out mid-tier offensive tackles just to keep their total team spending under the cap. But the structural flexibility unlocked by Booker changes the entire negotiation table. Instead of bidding on low-tier bridge veterans, Poles can aggressively enter the free agent market to secure elite, proven offensive line anchors. The unallocated cap room saved on the edge is directly funneled to stack the offensive line with dominant guards and premium tackles, transforming what was once a positional vulnerability into a relentless wall of protection. This strategic reallocation of capital aligns seamlessly with Chicago's upcoming contract horizon, where heavy decisions loom over key offensive line contributors. With starting offensive tackles commanding top market money, Poles no longer has to choose between maintaining elite edge pressure and re-signing key offensive trench talent. The millions banked from Booker's efficiency serve as a direct war chest for incoming free agency cycles, allowing Chicago to outbid competitors for top-tier interior pass protectors without triggering cap insolvency down the line. Front offices often falter because they treat positional groups as isolated silos, but Poles approaches the roster as a dynamic, interconnected financial ecosystem. By securing a high-yield edge rusher on a dirt-cheap contract, Chicago generates the leverage to retain homegrown line talent and lock down premier protection packages before the open market artificially inflates their prices. The true brilliance of this strategy is confirmed when diving into the tape to see how Booker's efficiency sustains high-level defensive production without requiring bloated veteran deals. A detailed film breakdown reveals a defender whose impact far exceeds his fifth-round price tag. Booker's pass rush toolset relies on elite bend, relentless pursuit, and refined hand placement, allowing him to generate continuous pressure on opposing quarterbacks even while taking high-efficiency rotational snaps. Instead of wearing down over the course of a long season or relying on brute force alone, his technical leverage and high motor allow defensive coordinators to maintain an aggressive, high-velocity defensive line rotation. He captures significant sack volume and disruptive hurry rates while absorbing heavy defensive snaps, proving that high-end pass rush production is a function of traits and execution rather than how many zeros are on a player's contract. Ultimately, this seamless integration of tape efficiency and financial strategy delivers the ultimate blueprint for protecting a franchise quarterback. When Booker routinely forces uncomfortable throws, turns the corner on veteran offensive tackles, and collapses the pocket on 3rd and long, he does so while earning a fraction of what rival edge rushers make for identical statistical outputs. This means Chicago's defense doesn't miss a single beat, sustaining top-tier pressure rates while maintaining total structural balance. Every strip sack, hurry, and tackle for loss Booker commits to tape validates Poles' grand design. Defense remains lethal on the field, the balance sheet stays entirely clean, and Caleb Williams gets to drop back behind a wall of elite, highly paid protectors paid for by the surplus value of a single draft pick. Across the NFC North, opposing front offices aren't just monitoring Chicago's roster moves, they are watching with a sense of genuine structural dread. Rival general managers in Detroit, Green Bay, and Minnesota spend their off-seasons painstakingly calculating window durations, knowing that standard NFL parity relies heavily on cap attrition to level the playing field. In a normal team life cycle, a franchise that hits on a generational talent like Caleb Williams is eventually forced to make devastating compromises elsewhere as salaries escalate. But Chicago's mastery of the rookie surplus value dynamic completely disrupts this parity model. Seeing a division rival maintain an elite defensive rotation featuring a game-disrupting pass rusher like Austin Booker on a microscopic $1.1 million wage while simultaneously hoarding cap space for their young franchise quarterback strikes absolute terror into rival war rooms. This existential panic stems from a terrifying competitive reality: the lethal synergy of a top-tier young quarterback on his initial contract paired with cheap, hyper-efficient defensive rotation players. When a front office doesn't have to allocate $40 million combined to their secondary edge defenders, they can afford to insulate every single weakness on the depth chart. Divisional rivals realize they aren't just competing against 11 players on Sunday. They are competing against an asymmetric financial system designed to outlast them over a multi-year horizon. While Green Bay or Detroit might be forced to let key starters walk in free agency or restructure contract after contract to stay under the limit, Chicago operates with maximum liquid leverage. The Bears can maintain a deep, fresh defensive line unit that wears down opposing tackles over 4 quarters, all without sacrificing a single penny of structural flexibility. Rival front offices recognize this roster strategy because it mirrors the exact structural blueprint of recent Super Bowl dynasties. The Kansas City Chiefs and Seattle Seahawks built their championship eras on the identical foundation, pairing an ascending, low-cost quarterback with a handful of late-round defensive studs who vastly overperformed their baseline rookie contracts. By hit rate optimization in the middle to late rounds, those front offices created massive financial moats that allowed them to retain blue-chip veteran talent while keeping their core championship window open wide. Chicago is actively replicating that elite blueprint in real time, leveraging Booker's surplus value to construct a roster that doesn't just contend for a single season, but dominates a decade. What makes this financial engine truly terrifying for the rest of the league is that there is no easy counter-strategy for rival front offices to deploy. You cannot simply buy your way out of a surplus value gap. The only solution is drafting with identical precision, which is nearly impossible to guarantee on a year-to-year basis. Every time Booker explodes off the line, collapses a pocket, or forces a rushed throw into coverage, he reinforces a financial reality that keeps divisional rivals awake at night. Chicago hasn't just built a solid football team, they have weaponized the collective bargaining agreement to create a sustainable monster, leaving the rest of the NFC North scrambling to figure out how to survive the storm. When you map out the final financial breakdown, the raw numbers behind Austin Booker's 4-year rookie contract unveil one of the most lopsided value propositions in modern franchise history. Under the standard 5th-round draft slot scale, Booker earns just over $4 million total across his entire 4-year tenure, averaging roughly $1.1 million per season. Compare that to the going rate for elite game-disrupting pass rushers on the open market who routinely command baseline deals ranging between $18 to $24 million annually, and the resulting delta is staggering. By developing Booker into a primary rotational edge disruptor, the Bears effectively bank $16 to $20 million in net savings every single season. Over the complete lifetime of his 4-year rookie deal, Chicago holds a massive $70 million in pure surplus cap space, a massive reserve fund generated by a single draft pick. This monumental financial cushion directly dictates how Ryan Poles and the Chicago coaching staff approach critical active roster decisions leading into the regular season. Rather than engaging in brutal roster cuts, waiving rising talent, or forcing veteran restructures that kick dead money into future years, Chicago enters final roster cuts, operating from a position of absolute luxury. The front office can comfortably carry extra depth at skill positions, retain elite special teams aces, and shelter developing prospects on the 53-man roster who would otherwise be exposed to waivers. Booker's microscopic cap hit acts as a structural anchor, allowing the front office to preserve depth across the entire roster without crossing into dangerous financial territory or compromising positional battle outcomes. Beyond immediate roster trimming, this unprecedented cap flexibility permanently shifts Chicago's overarching competitive timeline, positioning them to dictate terms to the rest of the league for years to come. While divisional rivals struggle under the weight of bloated veteran contracts and agonizing cap sacrifices, the Bears hold the necessary capital to continually insulate Caleb Williams with top-tier protection and premium playmakers. The franchise has systematically eliminated the standard window of vulnerability that typically plagues teams transitioning to a massive quarterback extension. Booker's baseline deal is not just a statistical anomaly or a clever cap trick, it is the fundamental cornerstone of a long-term, sustainable dynasty blueprint. As Chicago prepares to unleash this hyper-efficient roster on the field, the question is no longer whether their aggressive financial strategy will work, but how far it will take them. What piece of Chicago's roster strategy do you think gives them the biggest edge over their division rivals?